All right, Secondary Math 2 class. We are going to be talking again today about factoring quadratics. Okay, so factoring quadratics, remember a few weeks ago where we learned about FOIL and distributing, okay, and the box method? Think of that as like tying your shoe. Okay, well, factoring quadratics down here, this is the untying your shoe part. Okay, that's the great thing about math. Everything you do can be undone, or you can go backwards in everything. Okay, so 1 through 4, it's asking us to find the product. So think of this as like tying your shoe. So we're going to use two methods to find the product. I don't know why I just wrote FOI. Okay, it's FOIL. That's fine. Okay, so we'll use FOIL on the first two, and we'll use the box method on the second two. Okay, so we got to use FOIL for number 1. So what does the F in FOIL stand for? It stands for first. Okay, so my first terms in my binomial, I'm going to multiply those together. So I'm going to take 4a, I'm going to multiply it to 5a. So 4 times 5 is going to give me 20. A times a, or a squared, okay, attached to that. Boom, we did the first one. What does O in FOIL stand for? Outside, so my outside terms, 4a times 8. Okay, what is 4 times positive 8? It's going to give me positive 32 with 1a. Okay, what does the I in FOIL stand for? Inside. Okay, so I'm going to take negative 8 times positive 5a. Negative 8 times positive 5 gives me a negative 40 with 1a attached. Okay, and then the L in FOIL stands for last. Okay, so 8 or negative 8 times 8. So negative 8 times 8 gives me negative 64. Okay, my very last step is to combine like terms. Okay, these two terms in the middle, they both only have a to the first power. We cannot combine it with a squared, right? It has to be the same exponent. So we can only combine positive 32 with negative 40. Okay, so what is 32 minus 40? 32 minus 40 is going to give us negative 8a. So those combine to give me negative 8a. Now just put your 20a squared in front, your minus 64 in the, in the back. And there is our answer. Sorry, I'm getting a drink. Okay, awesome. So there's our answer for number 1. Okay, number 2, let's do FOIL again. So the F in FOIL stands for first. My first terms are 5m, 8m. We're going to multiply them together. Okay, 5 times 8 is going to give me 40. 2 m's being multiplied here, so m squared. Okay, my O in FOIL stands for outside, so 5m and 4. So 5 times 4 is going to give me 20 with 1m, so positive 20m. Okay, I in FOIL stands for inside. Okay, 7 times 8, which for some reason I can never remember in my head, is going to give me positive 56 with 1m, so positive 56m. Okay, and L in FOIL stands for last, so 7 times 4. 7 times 4 is going to give me positive 28, I believe. I'm struggling with my multiplication. Yep, positive 28. Okay, so we did FOIL. Now we just need to combine the two in the middle because they're the only ones with just one m attached. Okay, so what is 20 plus 56? It's going to give me 76m in the middle. It's a positive, so put a plus in front of it. Okay, 40m squared and positive 28 on the end. And there is our quadratic expression. Alrighty. Okay, let's look at number 3. So let's use a different method for number 3. Let's use our box method. Okay, so for our box method, draw your box with 4 squares in it. We're going to put our first binomial, so 5a plus 7 on top, 5a plus 7. We're going to put our second binomial down the side, 6a plus 6. Okay, now that our box is drawn, we just need to multiply what's inside. Okay, so we have 5a times 6a. Okay, 5 times 6 gives me 30. 2a is being multiplied, so 30a squared. Okay, then my next box, I have 7 times 6a. Okay, 7 times 6 is going to give me 42. 1a being multiplied, so 42a. Okay, next one, 5a times 6. 5 times 6 again is 30, but this time there's only 1a, so 30a. And then our last one, 7 times 6 is 42. Okay, so now I'm just going to rewrite these guys in the order that I solved them. So 30a squared, positive 42a, positive 30a, and positive 42. Okay, so I wrote them out. Now I just need to combine the ones in the middle, because again, they're the ones with only 1a. Okay, so what is 42 plus 30? We have 72a. Okay, plus 42 on the end, that's a positive, so put your sign in front of it, and 30a squared in the front. And there is our answer. Okay, let's do the box method one more time for number 4. So draw your box with our 4 squares. First binomial on the top, 8x minus 6. Second binomial down the side, 2x minus 1. Okay, so we've just drawn it. We put our first one on top, second one down the side. So now we're going to go ahead and multiply these guys. So I have 8 times 2, 8x times 2x. 8 times 2 is going to give me 16. 2x is being multiplied, so 16x squared. Okay, my next box lines up with negative 6 times 2x. Negative 6 times a positive 2 is going to give me negative 12. There's 1x, so negative 12x. Okay, my next box lines up with 8x times negative 1. Well, negative 1 times 8 is negative 8. 1x, so negative 8x. Okay, and our last one, negative 6 times negative 1 gives me a positive 6. Okay, so we found all our spots. I'm just going to rewrite them in the order we solved them. So 16x squared minus 12x minus 8x and positive, so plus 6. Okay, now that we've rewritten it, we can go ahead and combine the ones in the middle because they're the only ones with just 1x. Okay, so I have negative 12 minus 8 more. Okay, that's going to give me a negative 20. Remember, we're getting more negatives here. So negative 20x plus 6 on the end, 16x squared in the front. Okay, so 1 through 4. That was us tying our shoe. That was us going from 2 binomials to a quadratic expression. 5 through 10, we're going to untie it. So we're going to go backwards. Okay, so let's look at number 5. Okay, so when we're factoring quadratics, we need to look at the last number first. I know that sounds weird. Look at the last number in your expression. Okay, and we need to come up with factors, so numbers that multiply to -48 but add to -2. Okay, notice this is negative. Okay, the only way we can get a negative is if we multiply a positive times a negative. So, for example, the only way I could get -48 is if I did 1 times -48. But is this going to equal -2 when we add it together? 1 minus 48, that's going to give me -47. So that's not our answer. Okay, what about 2 times -24? 2 minus 24 is -22. Ooh, definitely not our answer. Okay, so maybe let's go up in numbers a little bit. What about 4 times 12, I believe? Let's double check just to make sure. Okay, 4 times -12, that's going to give me -8. Ooh, we're getting closer. Okay, what about 6? Let's see, 48 divided by 6, does that go into it? Okay, 6 times -8. 6 minus 8 gives me -2. Yay, we got it. Okay, so once we've found it, the one that added to -2, all we need to do is rewrite it in our parentheses, just like they look like before we FOIL them. Put your variable in the front of both these guys, so our variable is v this time. And then put your numbers that we found inside. So this was a +6 and a -8. And there is our answer. We factored it. Okay, we untied the shoe. Okay, we went from a quadratic now to two binomials. Okay, so let's look at let's do the same thing on number 6. Okay, so look at 90. So you're always gonna look at that last number. Okay, so we need to look at 90. And we need to figure out what two numbers multiply to 90, this time it's +90, to add to +19. Okay, so we know 1 and 90, probably not. That's going to equal 91. Nope, that's not it. Okay, what about 2 and 45? No, that's going to give us 47. Okay, maybe 5. Okay, divide 90 by 5. And that's going to give us 18. We're still a little high. That's going to give us 23. So we're getting closer though. Okay, what about 10? We know we can divide 90 by 10 because it ends in a 0. 10 times 9 gives me 90. 10 plus 9 gives me 19. We found it. Okay, so again, once we've found it, found our two numbers, let's go ahead and rewrite it in our two parentheses sets. Okay, put our variable, which in this case is k, in front, k. And this time it's a +10 and a +9. You must put the positive and the negative signs, the plus and the minus signs in there. It cannot just be k10 and k9. It has to be k plus 10, k plus 9. Okay? Awesome, let's keep doing it. So number 7, let's look at 40. Okay, so we need something that multiplies to 40 but adds to -13. What in the world? How are we going to get a negative when it's a positive over here? Okay, well, let's see. So we know that 1 times 40 is 40, but that's going to give us 41. So that's probably not going to be it. Okay, maybe 4 times 10. That gives us a +14, so still not it, but we're getting closer. What about 8 times 5? Ooh, that gives us 13, but is it a -13? No, it's not. But can't we multiply a negative times a negative to give us a positive? Yes, we can. Okay, that's super important. Okay, now it gives us -13. So now we found it. We know that a negative times a negative gives us a positive, and that's how it's going to add to give us negative 13. Okay, so we found our two numbers. So write your two parentheses sets. Put your variable in front, which in this case it's v again, so v. Okay, minus 8 and minus 5. And we are done. We factored it. Okay, let's do it again for number 8. So this time it has to be a negative. It multiplies to give us a negative. Okay, so one number has to be positive, the other has to be negative. Okay, so maybe 1 and negative 20. No, it's going to give us negative 19 because we have to add it to equal 8. 2 and negative 10. Okay, that's going to give me negative 8. Ooh, we're close. We want a positive. Okay, so maybe let's switch it. Let's make it a negative 2 and a positive 10. Okay, because that still gives us negative 20. And then this adds to positive 8. We got it. Okay, so we found our two numbers. Write your parentheses set. Put your variable in front. In this case, it's x. Okay, x minus 2 and x plus 10. Remember, we have to have those plus and minus signs. Okay, let's do two more. Okay, so for number 9, we need it to multiply to give us positive 40, but then add to give us negative 14. Ooh, it's going to add to be a negative. So we know 1 times 40, that's going to give us 41, so no. What about 2 times 20? That's 22, no. Okay, what about 4 times 10? Okay, that's going to give us 14, but is it negative 14? No, it's not. But remember our special rule. A negative times a negative equals a positive, but then it can add to give us negative 14. Okay, that's our special rule. We got to remember that. A negative times a negative equals a positive. Okay, so we found our two numbers that add to negative 14. So we can do our parentheses sets, v and a v, negative 4 and negative 10. And there's our answer. Okay, one more. So look at your last number. In this case, it's positive 70. It needs to add to negative 17. Okay, so we know that 1 and 70, that's going to give us 71, so no. What about 2 and 35? That's 37. No, we're not getting close. What about 5 and what is 70 divided by 5? Let's check. It's going to give me 14. Kind of getting closer. That's 19. Still not negative 17 though. Okay, what about 10 times 7? That'll give me 70. Okay, when I add those two together, that gives me positive 17. We're looking for a negative, remember? Okay, but we got it. So we know that negative 10 times negative 7 will still give us positive 70, but it'll add to negative 17. Okay, so we found our two numbers that add to the middle one. So write your parentheses set. Okay, put our variable, which is x this time, so x minus 10 and x minus 7. And there is our answer. Okay, those are your notes for today. You guys have a corresponding assignment.